So I just spent a couple hours figuring out which fonts I'm going to use. I know it's a little bit premature because I'm not doing the brand book yet, but that's me. I like the visual identity stuff. I have a clear vision and I wanted it to be written down so I don't forget. Yesterday I did some mood boarding for the bottles. I also did some Gemini mockups. We'll talk about those later. Today I want to talk about the fonts that I chose. The choice right now is like this. I'm going to have a custom script for the fragrance names on the bottle, like this, kind of something like this. It's going to be on the bottle, handwritten, probably white marker, and maybe an accent like on a box or something, kind of like this. I will probably have to make the font myself because finding what I want is, I don't know, maybe there is like a paid font that I could get. I will look into that, but it's probably easier for me to make it myself. Then I'm going to have a serif font for the headlines and a sans serif for the body. The main reason why I'm using a serif is because sans serif by nature feels very modern. Serif has an older feeling. It also has a different kind of luxurious aspect to it. It's hard to describe, it's just the feeling it gives you. But it's also important what kind of serif we're using. Because if you're using something super decorative, that destroys the purpose. That goes too far. We want something that feels luxurious and elegant, but not too modern and also not too decorative and too fancy. It has to be somewhere in the middle. Partially, this choice also comes from the fact that I have consumed thousands of images and my taste has been refined to the point where I can tell what would create the kind of feeling I wanted to achieve. I had a couple of choices. I had, I think, around 8 choices of fonts. And what I was looking for specifically is I did not want a very modern letter A. I did not want a letter A like this. I wanted something like this. Because the first one, it just looks modern. And again, I don't want the headline to be modern. It's also about contrast because the bottles are very lab-like. They're very DIY. They're very unpolished and dirty in a way. And when it's put together with the serif font, it makes the brain stop for a minute because it's not expected. It is the same effect as if you see some guy step out of a Lamborghini or like a really expensive car and he's wearing a t-shirt that has holes in it. You would be like, something doesn't seem right. This guy should look better. Or I'm saying better in like society accepted terms of what is good or bad. But this is the kind of contrast we're creating here. The other thing I was looking at is the letter G. I wanted the letter to look like this. Yeah, this is the kind of letter I wanted. I did not want a letter like this or this for the letter G. That again would look too modern, and I did not want that. I was also looking at the italic versions of these fonts because we need to think not just about how this font looks, but how it functions. We will need to use it on the website, the same font. We will need to use it in social media. We will need to use it in other mediums, and sometimes we may want to use italic. For example, here, I did a very basic website mockup to just see what the font would behave like in a context, and you can see we used an italic version for the 5x5mm, and some fonts did not look that good in this context. So initially I had 8 fonts and we narrowed it down to 4 and then 3 eventually. This is the kind of thing that might be confusing when you're choosing fonts. You look at something like this and it looks identical. The letter R is, okay, it's not identical, but the letter J is the same shape. It goes under the letter R. They look very similar. Even if you zoom in the letter A and A, B and B, F and F, they're very similar. But if you zoom in, this letter A has an ugly head. It's just ugly. I don't know why would anybody want this kind of a font. It just looks wrong. I don't know. Say what you want. But this one does not. This one looks clean. This one looks like it's supposed to be like this. And that is why I initially thought they look very similar. How can I choose? But then yeah, I spotted this top part of the letter and it's just a no instantly. So I'm gonna delete that. It's not even a choice at this point. I still have not decided, and I will try to do this deciding on camera so you can see my thought process. I have 3 options right now. The first option for me here, this font is called Libre Baskerville. It is a free font I got on Google. Also, I don't see the point of paying for a premium font because they look the same anyway. Most fonts look way too similar to each other. Unless you need a custom script or something like that, I don't see the point and the benefit of paying for a premium font license. It's barely noticeable if even there is an upgrade. It might be a placebo. This third font is Play for Display. It is popular in the font world, but it's not why I chose it. I'm not choosing fonts based on popularity. I looked at the shape of each letter, the shape of capital letters and small caps, numbers, symbols. The font has to be functional, and also the italic version. Also, I'm choosing fonts that have multiple weight levels, like regular italic, regular, medium, bold, black. This is important. If you have just one weight, it might be difficult to maintain consistency. It might be difficult to maintain a good look on different sizes and scales and in different contexts. So I don't think there's ever a time when using a single weight font is a good idea. And this third font, I think it's called Crimson Text. There were other deciding factors when I was choosing these fonts. For example, I went to fonts.google and first I was looking at the serif section. They have different kinds of serif fonts, right? They have, for example, slab, which does not work for me at all. Too much like a construction company. It feels like there's too much weight to the font. It is not elegant. It doesn't feel elegant. Modern fonts. There are different kinds of serifs. As you can see, some have very thin serif lines. Some are very thick. Some are kind of weird and unique. I was looking for something that looks traditional, something that looks classic, and something that has a little bit of warmth to it. For example, like this font, it doesn't feel clinically clean and structural, and I like that because it makes it feel more handmade, or that's not the right word. It makes it feel more, it doesn't feel manufactured. That's the feeling I'm trying to avoid. This brand should not feel like it came from a factory, but it also should not feel like it came from my bedroom, although it did. But it should feel like it was put together intentionally. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is I want to contrast the animalic weird nature of the perfume bottles and the titles on them. I want to put that chaos inside a structure to tame the monster, to tame the rebel. One thing I can't really decide is which kind of letter J I want, because this would be the logo, I guess, not the one I thought initially about the handwritten one. That was the initial thought, but I feel like if I put a handwritten version on the box, it might look like it's too much of the same thing. But we can try, and let's actually try that. Copy this first. New chat. Give it a reference, and now we need to give it the font. We'll come back to this. I'm really liking the Libre Baskerville. It's so far the favorite font. Now I don't like some things, for example the letter R. On the default version it's too close to the Y. I don't like when letters touch like that. It might be some kind of OCD, but okay. See, this is what I mean. Look at this. Which box looks more luxurious? Which box looks more interesting? The one that has the same kind of lettering on the box than it has on the bottles? No. The box on the right doesn't make you feel like you'll find something luxurious inside. And although it's not a bad look, it doesn't create the feeling that I'm going for. Like I said, the true question is, which of the J's we like more? It's kind of hard to choose, so we need to think back to who the customer is, what is the brand, what we are trying to do here. I'm gonna reference my document real quick. We're the only fragrance brand where the brand is invisible. We are self-construction. What I did not mention in previous video is that this brand is about who you're becoming. It's like when you spray the fragrance, it helps you feel like you're becoming the person you want to be, not that you are him already. So the key word here is construction, and construction is more structural. To construct somebody, to construct an identity, it implies a feeling of angles and structure and foundation and solidity. So if we were to use a font that is too soft, it would kind of undermine that. On the other hand, a soft font would imply molding and shaping, which it does go together with the same direction. So it's not like these are opposite directions. We're looking at two different expressions of the same direction, same idea. One more keyword for the brand is specificity, specific, and a font that's more structured does feel more specific than a font that's kind of oddly shaped. And the more I'm looking at this, the more I don't like how soft it is. So at this point, the choice is either Libre Baskerville or Play for Display, and the biggest difference is the letter J, but also the fact that Play for Display has very thin lines, which concerns me because that is not good for visibility or readability, and it's also harder to print that on smaller sizes unless you have good quality printing equipment. They are curators. They like to curate their environment. The more I look at this, the more I feel like Crimson Text is not going to be the one. It is a beautiful font, but the other ones just, they fit the brand way better. What is their hesitation? They might wonder, is this actually good or is it just aesthetic? So we don't want to appear too pretty. Our voice, semi-formal, upper mid, uniform, so words we use, uniform, certain, discipline. All these words and all these things that I'm reading and reminding myself about the brand, they tell me that the font should be less organic and more solid in a way. That means straight lines. I like how the font for Playfair, it looks more uniform. What I mean is this line at the bottom here, the font doesn't go too much below it. When I'm looking at it, it feels like a straight line, but for this font, it's kind of like a bump. And I know these are minor things, but it might affect layouts. I'm testing the font to make sure that it performs well in different scenarios. Yeah, so in this scenario, I like that the bottom of the sentence is flat. It doesn't have bumps. I really like that. And yes, I don't like that the G is so low. But at the same time, it's not like it matters too much. Let's try a different text. Let's say, becoming yourself. The Libre doesn't have a light version of the font, which is not too good. But what I like is that the letters are kind of square shaped. They fit within a square. The first font is more vertical. It's tough to choose because they're both good options. They would both fit. None of them have something obvious that would contradict the brand. The essential difference between Playfair on the left side and Libre on the right side is Playfair is more clinical feeling. It feels cleaner, it feels more technical, it feels more geometrical, sharp, because the lines are thinner. On the other hand, Libre, it's more organic feeling. And of course the letter J, that's the biggest difference. One context for this font is the logo, and the letter J is the big difference. Another context is website hero. Where else maybe on the website we could use it like this. The letter T I like better on the Playfair. This one, when you look at it close, it's not that great, but yeah. Now this is a battle because I'm very nitpicky about things like this. Okay, I think we might have to start keeping track of what are the pros and cons. So letter T, letter J, A, B, C, D look the same. E, F, G basically the same. I like the one on Libra better. I and J, well, J is different. K is the same. L, M, N, O, P. Q is different, but it's very similar. One of these had a different Q. Oh no, it's not. Okay, the Q is the same. I like the R on Libra as well. For small letters, it's pretty much the same. For numbers, it's nothing much different. Yeah, well, another context where we might use this is, let's quickly visualize what this might look like. Let's say we have a card. Let's say we have some handwritten text. Let's try to find some script. Okay, I'm looking at this context where, let's say we want to do a card and we want to put our brand name on it, like in this scenario here. So brand name and my website. Now that would look a bit weird. Okay, what if we use Playfair? And what if we use a... Oh, it does not have a light. In this context, Playfair looks better because on a dark card, you want a lighter font because it looks more bulky. But the problem is we can't have an even lighter version of this font because we just don't have the weight. This might be the case where getting a premium font would be a good idea. If you can find the exact font like this, but with more weight, then that would help. This is a hard choice. The Libra font looks great, but there are just some scenarios where it feels like it doesn't work as well as the other one, specifically the card, and really that's the only case. I think for the time being I'm gonna go with Libra because I feel more drawn to it. Intuitively, this one is more in alignment with the brand I'm building. As for the body copy, I don't think I ever mentioned, this is Source Sans. I had two different options for this font. I chose this one because it's the easiest one to read from the ones I tried. And the letter A is the same like in the headline. It's not the modern type. Same with the G. For this, it doesn't matter too much because this is just for reading. The only purpose and the function of body or the third font here is to make it easy to read. And it should also have different weights because this is a functional font. It's a utility font. It's not for looking good. Yeah. This one works just fine. So then, we're gonna go with Libra Baskerville for the headlines, Source Sans 3 for the body, and a custom script for this. Now I know what you're thinking. Didn't I say that using 2 fonts is the maximum allowed? The real maximum is 3, but that is if you have a really good reason to do that. You should not try to use 3 fonts just because. The more fonts you use, the more difficult it is to combine them in a way that matches, and it adds too much noise. But in this scenario, it just works because the font for the bottle is the point of the brand. It's a core feature of the brand, and the serif headlines contrast it really well. I will still think about this. It is possible that I decide to use a sans serif, but for example, I'm looking at the Tom Ford sample set, and the feeling it gives me is not the same that I want to get. And this one is using a sans serif. Sans serif just feels like manufactured, and that I want to avoid. It is possible that I change the direction when I build out the brand book. Yeah, this is for now. We're gonna keep working on the brand strategy, keep working on the bottle and all the other things, and I'll get back to you when I have more to share.